What's up everybody, Matt Maran here, and today Ford has revealed the 7th generation of the Mustang, which they're saying is all new, but I'll get into that a bit in this video. But the good news here is it continues to offer a V8 and a manual transmission and rear-wheel drive. Plus there's some cool new features like Remote Rev and an electronic drift brake, so stay tuned for that and lots more details here in this video. First though, let's talk about the styling. In my opinion, it looks really good. The leaks were accurate, but it looks a lot better in the official photos. I think it's a nice evolution of the 2015 to 2017 styling with sharp horizontal lights, with the tri-bar LED lighting, and even 3 LED projectors, along with a grille that appears larger thanks to the painted black portion on the GTs, while still maintaining a familiar Mustang shape. The GT500 inspired hood vent there is a cool touch too on the GTs, but I do miss the 60s inspired dual hood vents on the previous generation for sure. The more dramatic change is in the back though, which looks a little longer with a lengthened rear deck, but Ford actually says the rear overhang has been shortened overall. So the sharp cut inward for the trunk and the taillights is a cool touch though in my opinion. My only complaint about the back end is that the taillights look simpler and less exciting than the last generation, which had, some more details and depth to them to make them a little bit more interesting. Regarding it being all new though, Ford hasn't confirmed the platform name, but it's likely on a new platform called S650, and I'm assuming some things have changed underneath the skin, but there's not much info on what those changes might be. From the spec sheet, it looks like the wheelbase is actually 0.1 inch shorter, with the whole car being almost an inch shorter overall. The width is identical, but the track is actually 0.4 of an inch narrower front and rear. They say it's 0.7 inches taller, but I think that may come down to the taller shark fin antenna, because it does appear that some of the body has been carried over from the last generation, with the whole top half looking identical to the S550. Same A-pillar, same quarter windows, same roof with the same lines going down it, which now sadly don't follow the lines of the hood like they used to. And it appears to have the same rear glass with the same LED third brake light there at the top. Even the side mirrors look like carryovers. And this is fine, especially considering the world we live in now, where Dodge has just announced the death of their V8 powered muscle cars, and Chevy seems to be abandoning the Camaro soon as well. So I'm just happy and grateful that Ford invested the money in a new generation, but it just seems like calling it all new simply isn't true. Moving on to the inside though, it's again a mixed bag, with great tech upgrades but also lots of carryover parts and some interesting choices. First, for the positives, the curved screens are very cool with graphics created by the Unreal Engine 3D software, and they're really putting a strong emphasis on all the tech and all the customization and all that, which is cool for sure. And so the gauges are a 12.4 inch display, while the touchscreen is a 13.2 inch display, and it's angled towards the driver, and they're all, again, very, very customizable. They say that screen can be optionally configured though, so expect a smaller screen for base models, but they haven't said what size it'll be or what it'll look like. Other nice touches though are that the screen being higher does make room for a wireless phone charger in the front cubby there, and there's even USB ports in the ceiling now, so you can run track cameras or dash cams without the need to hardwire or mess with dangling cables, which is great. The new steering wheel is also pretty cool with more aggressive shaping and a flat bottom. The center stack is new as well, but this is where my interior criticisms will begin. As you can see, they've gotten rid of all physical climate controls as well as all the stereo controls other than the volume knob, and now only have a few of the mandatory buttons there with tiny little toggles or notches underneath of them. And Ford claims in the press release that integrating these controls into the screen was popular in their research with millennials, Gen Z, and traditional Mustang drivers alike. Whether or not you like physical controls is subjective, but even the materials for the remaining buttons seem like a step back from the previous metal-plated toggles of the previous generation that were really heavy-duty and high-quality feeling. Speaking of previous generations, one big disappointment for me is the lack of character on this interior. The signature double-brow dashboard that's been a design staple for almost every generation of the Mustang is completely absent here in this new interior, as are the round air vents. I mean, even the Mach-E has a nod with its dash design, having the double brow kind of thing with the way the sound bars are integrated into the dash on the Mach-E. So why Ford didn't do any kind of homage to that is kind of confusing to me. So I mean, if you covered the Mustang badges on the steering wheel and the dash, this could be an interior for anything in my opinion. The only thing that would give it away as a Mustang would be all the carryover parts if you're familiar with the 2015 to 2022 interiors. There's a lot that's shared here. So let's start with the doors. Aside from some new materials, they're identical to before. Same shape, same buttons in the same places, same handles, same speaker placements. everything is the same. The center tunnel is also mostly the same from the shifter back, with the same exact cup holders in the same exact spot, same armrest. Even the shift knob and the shifter are carryovers. Like, why couldn't they at least bother to do a new shift knob or pull a new one from the Ford parts catalog, something? It's just kind of funny that even that is a carryover. The e-brake handle, though, is thankfully new and looks very nice with the exposed metal there on it. Speaking of exposed metal, though, the pedals are also carryover. The seats have new colors, but they too appear to be the same for both the regular and the Recaro seats, aside from having a new plastic seatbelt holder at the top, it looks like. Moving on to the mechanical bits, though, it continues to run a 2.3 liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder and a Coyote 5 liter V8, but Ford claims these engines are new as well. So starting with the 5 liter Coyote V8, Ford says this is an advanced 4th generation version that they say is set to deliver the most naturally aspirated horsepower of any Mustang GT, thanks to an innovative dual air intake box and dual throttle body design that helps minimize induction loss by enabling higher airflow rates. And that sounds great, but unfortunately there aren't any kind of details as far as power numbers. They're not revealing that for now. They're not saying anything else about this engine either. So the only thing I can say is dissecting the preliminary spec sheet here, it appears the displacement has gone up from 302 cubic feet to 307 cubic feet, but everything else looks the same as before as far as measurements go. The 2.3 liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder they are claiming is all new as well, according to Ford, but again, they're not explaining how for now. It does have a different bore and stroke along with a higher compression ratio, so that does seem like there are some real substantial changes to that engine, but again, no power numbers have been revealed, so beyond those spec differences, we'll have to wait for more details. Ford also hasn't explained the Remote Rev feature that they mentioned here in the press release too much yet, but it does give you the ability to rev the car to some degree with the key fob. I'm assuming it'll work very similar to a remote start, and probably be a preset rev amount you do just by pressing a button. As far as transmissions go, the spec sheet only says get trags and that the gear ratios are identical to before, which means they've almost certainly stuck with the MT82, it seems. And so I'm glad we still have the manual. Very happy to see the manual survive, but I know me and many others were hoping they'd put the Tremec from the Mach 1 in at least the GT model, but instead there's currently no Tremec equipped Mustang available after 2023 here anymore. I'm hoping there will be some type of special edition that reintroduces it, but as of right now, MT82 is the only way you can go for the 2024s. The 10-speed automatic also carries over with the same ratios as before as well. The rear diff ratios are the same selections as before too, and in regards to handling, curb weights are identical, thankfully, with EcoBoost going up by 1 pound, but otherwise they're the same. The standard setup carries over with the independent rear suspension, identical stabilizer bars, identical brakes as far as the standard brakes go, but all Mustangs do get a quicker steering ratio that goes from 16:1 to 15.5:1, so that'll be a nice little improvement. And upgrading to the performance package does provide some improvements over the old performance pack though, so it's still the same main components, but the stabilizer bars go from 32 millimeters to 33.3 millimeters in the front, and they go from 22.2 to 24 millimeters in the rear. The brake discs also get slightly bigger with the 6-piston Brembo calipers, paired now with rotors that go from 380 millimeter by 34 millimeter to 390 millimeter by 36 millimeters, along with 355 millimeter rear discs. And for the first time, these same brakes come on the EcoBoost Performance Pack as well, which is great. And the GT Performance Pack also now adds brake ducts for better cooling and a standard auxiliary engine oil cooler. It also sounds like MagneRide is only available with the Performance Pack, and sadly the active exhaust only seems to be available on the Performance Packs as well now. MagneRide does get a cool addition though, with an active pothole mitigation that monitors the suspension, body, and steering and braking inputs and adjusts the suspension response accordingly. So I'm assuming it'll help the car stay more stable over potholes and dynamic situations, which is cool. There's a listing also for a handling package on the spec sheet as well, but there was no specs given for that package or anything. The last handling thing to mention though is the electronic drift brake, which comes on the Performance Pack. And again, they haven't provided too many details just yet, but they say it unlocks the rear-wheel drive drifting capability of Mustang with the visual appeal and functionality of a traditional mechanical handbrake. And they say it's engineered for novice drivers to learn and improve their drift skills while also providing expert drivers with a competition-ready system. which sounds very interesting. So it'll be cool to see how that's demonstrated and how that works. And so lastly, all 2024 Mustangs also come with Ford Copilot 360, which gives intelligent adaptive cruise control with stop and go, lane centering, evasive steer assist, reverse brake assist, and speed sign recognition. There's no pricing yet, but they'll go on sale starting in the summer of 2023. So we got a little ways to wait here for them, but I'm sure it'll be priced similar to the old vehicles, hopefully, and hopefully they'll have good availability there in the summer of next year. Overall, I'm glad to see one last generation of gas-powered Mustangs before it likely does go fully electric. And, even though much of it is carryover here, there are some nice additions and new features that will make it a nice upgrade for, many current Mustang owners. And honestly, they didn't need to do much anyway, since it looks like this will probably be the last gas-powered American muscle car, sadly. And so given these conditions, I'm impressed with the improvements nonetheless. And as a Mustang fan, it'll be a great car to continue keeping the Mustang spirit and fun alive. And so anyway, let me know what you think about the 2024 Mustang in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.